Hello and welcome to another edition of It's Just Me. I'm Brent Fox. Just wanted to do a quick show tonight. And first and foremost, let me wish all of the mothers watching or listening happy Mother's Day. I hope that you are properly celebrated and appreciated on Sunday, as today, of course, is Friday, May the 8th, 2026. But I just wanted to make sure that you all got the proper respect and recognition before the day. So, getting into sports, few things. First thing is a very exciting matchup between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. It is a heavyweight clash, and usually in the UK, the fight times here range, I would say, uh, the undercard usually starts at maybe 10 or 11 a.m., but the main event usually starts around the main card usually starts, I'd probably say around 1 or 2 p.m., depending on what the scheduling is. Of course, the fight is actually going to be on the zone for those curious, and this should actually be a good fight for as long as it lasts. You have Daniel Dubois, who is a known power puncher and has displayed that uh, primarily on one Anthony Joshua, and he also severely cut Fabio, not, I'm sorry, Philip Hergovich with a, excuse me, with a punch that actually led to a TKO. So we don't want to discount Daniel Dubois' power, and we also do not want to we don't want to dismiss Fabio Wardley's power either. I think both gentlemen, according to the press conference that they most recently had, both men actually have a 95% knockout ratio, which is amazing. And this, again, is going to be a good clash for as long as it lasts. Uh, I'm kind of on the under. I think it will be under 8 rounds. Um, What I will say is that I do think that Fabio Wardley will win by stoppage, whether that be a KO or possibly TKO. I'm not for sure, but I do know that both gentlemen actually have power in either hand. But I think Wardley's delivery system for his punches is going to be a bit better. And to be quite honest with you, there is a deep psychological edge that Fabio Wardley actually has against Daniel Dubois, and here's why. Fabio Wardley is undefeated, so he does not know how to lose yet. I know that's a cliche term, but he was actually down against, I think, a gentleman by the name of Hundley, and all throughout that fight, Hundley was actually outboxing him, but a beautifully timed, it was not a lucky punch, a beautifully timed right hand caught Hundley as he was actually lunging in to throw his right, ironically, and Wardley's just got there first and it ended the fight. I actually do see Fabio Wardley landing that right hand on Daniel Dubois, and unfortunately, because of the history of Daniel Dubois, if he gets hit, he will definitely quit. So, for that fact, and really not, I really wouldn't say that fact alone. I would say for that fact, just period. I think that Dubois' psychology hasn't shifted that much. I think that if there's adversity and it feels like too much to overcome, then he will succumb to whatever's going on. And until he actually shows that he can rise from adversity, and I'm not talking about the 3 fight win streak that he actually did, that he actually provided before he fought Usyk again. I'm simply talking about him actually getting hurt or buzzed in a fight recently. Okay, not when he was actually delivering the punishment and he had an edge. Now, you could argue and say that yes, Joshua did wobble him and he did come back and knock Joshua out. You know what? That to me seems like an outlier, and we will have to see if he is able to channel what he had in that Joshua fight. I think that was him at his very best. Because, yeah, you could make the argument that Joshua did, well, no, factually, Joshua did wobble him, and then Dubois was actually able to gather himself and knock out Anthony Joshua. Now, if Dubois has the same amount of confidence he did when fighting Joshua, I could be wrong about Fabio Wardley stopping him, but just logically speaking and looking at how these gentlemen deliver their punches, how these gentlemen actually perform through adversity, I have to give it to Fabio Wardley. I do not know the round that Wardley may actually stop Dubois, but I think that it'll probably be under 8 rounds. So, again, I look for Wardley to actually win a very entertaining fight, either by KO or TKO. Now, in other sporting news, I, of course, am an avid supporter of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, and it's just, I really don't like talking about this, but in Aaron Rodgers news, although there were reports of Rodgers visiting this weekend, there does not seem to be any confirmation that he has actually flown into Pittsburgh. And what I'm hearing, from an NFL insider, is that the offices of the Pittsburgh Steelers had not heard anything from Aaron Rodgers and have nothing actually planned in lieu of a visit from Rodgers. So what that tells me is that, of course, we're still playing the waiting game and we're having to find out whether or not he's going to sign and all this other good stuff. What I would say about that situation is this: even though we did draft Drew Aller, and of course we have young Will Howard waiting on the wings, and we of course have a well-known backup in Mason Rudolph, in the event that Rodgers, for whatever reason, doesn't come back, we should be able just to move on. However, it would be optimal or best that these two young quarterbacks actually have an opportunity to learn how to conduct themselves in an NFL season by someone who is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, the tactics that he is actually going about how he handles football business, may not be the best to actually learn from. However, when he is in the quarterback's room and he's examining film, or when he's on the practice field going over where guys should actually be as far as timing and rhythm on routes, small details as far as like defensive alignment and which guy would actually do what in whatever situation. I think that those are things that the young quarterbacks can actually pick up from Aaron Rodgers. And obviously his mentality towards the game is something, in a positive way, is something that they could actually learn from. So, these guys are developmental. They are not ready to be thrown in a fire just yet. And even if Aaron Rodgers does not show up, it leaves room for Mason Rudolph to actually start the season. So we shall see what actually happens. Either way, I'm not bothered by it. And if Aaron Rodgers decides that he just does not want to play with the Steelers, I wish him, I wish him luck. Well, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I came in, touched bases with you all, and thank you all so much for tuning in to It's Just Me. I'm Brent Fox.